Under the glaring spotlight, Elena Vance stood on the stage in a sharply tailored suit, holding court with effortless grace. This company's successful IPO is a testament to everyone's shoulder-to-shoulder dedication. But the greatest credit goes to... I stood in the shadows backstage, watching her coldly while mentally chanting, "Here it comes. Here it comes." The classic scene is finally here. Just minutes ago, after wrapping up a long day of work, I'd casually opened the Inkspire app to doom scroll through some short stories to kill time. I had intended to swipe past a melodramatic piece titled "When the Last Rose Withers," but seeing the protagonist shared my exact name, Caleb Stone, I clicked on it, guided by some morbid curiosity. In the book, Caleb Stone and Elena Vance had been in a secret marriage for 7 years. Caleb led the technical team, pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into co-founding Nexus Dynamics and pushing it to an IPO. He thought they had finally made it, but at the celebration gala, Elena credited everything to her assistant of only 3 months, Julian Reed. She even announced on the spot that Julian was her fiancé. Heartbroken, Caleb decided to leave, booking a flight out of the country for 7 days later. During those 7 days, Julian repeatedly framed him. Elena, blindly biased, refused to look at any evidence, convinced Caleb was using underhanded tactics to fight for her favor. Finally, Caleb faked his death to escape. Elena shed a few tears, but married Julian 3 months later. Without Caleb's technical backbone, Nexus Dynamics quickly collapsed and teetered on bankruptcy. Seeing the ship sinking, Julian embezzled the remaining assets and fled overnight. Elena finally woke up, realizing she had wronged Caleb all along. An omniscient private detective told her Caleb was still alive. She found him, begged for reconciliation, failed, and ultimately committed suicide. Caleb, hearing the news, simply said, "I don't love her anymore," and turned to start a new life. Damn it, the moment I saw the words "story complete," I couldn't help but curse aloud. My eyes scanned the author's name at the bottom, Cutesy Pie. What a trash book. Is the writer brain damaged? Who are they trying to discuss? Filled with rage, I kicked my office desk hard. My coffee cup tipped over, and the laptop began to smoke. Crap! I panicked and reached out to wipe it up, but the moment my hand touched the keyboard, a numbing sensation shot up my arm and spread through my body. My vision went black, and I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I found I had become the protagonist of that trashy novel, Caleb Stone. And right now, it was the highlight moment of the Nexus Dynamics IPO gala. Julian Reed was adjusting his tie, waiting smugly by the side of the stage, ready to accept applause and honors that didn't belong to him. Son of a... I cursed under my breath. Divorce was definitely on the cards, but nobody was taking what belonged to me. The entire core technology of the company was in my hands. Elena's voice caught on the final sentence. The greatest credit goes to... The anticipation in the audience was solidifying into confusion, and whispers began to ripple through the crowd. Julian, standing stage left, frowned and mouthed silently. Elena? I stared at Elena's hand. She was gripping her speech notes so hard they were crumbling. She was shaking all over, as if wrestling with something invisible. In the next second, I was shocked to see her suddenly bite down hard on the tip of her tongue. A bead of bright red blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. She raised her hand to wipe her lips, pretending to fix a smudge of lipstick, but only I saw the smear of blood she pressed in her palm. The greatest credit goes to... Her voice suddenly became crystal clear, Caleb Stone. The room went silent for half a second before erupting into a tsunami of applause. Julian's face instantly drained of color, turning an ashen gray as he stared dead at Elena on stage. I nearly crushed my wine glass. Wait, this wasn't the plot of the original book. I distinctly remembered Elena was supposed to say to the original host, "Caleb, you already have me. Don't be so petty and calculating. I'll make it up to you next time." But Julian is different. He's young and needs this honor to establish himself. How did the script suddenly go off the rails? Elena didn't stop there. She looked up toward where I was standing. "I have one more announcement to make. Caleb, aren't you coming up?" The spotlight swung around and hit me. I scoffed, set down my glass, and walked toward the center of the stage. I wanted to see exactly what game this woman was playing. Elena grabbed my hand. Facing the countless shocked eyes below, her voice was gentle but hit the floor like a gavel. "I actually got married a long time ago. My husband is..." "Elena." Julian interrupted, his voice cracking, his face pale as a sheet. Elena's brows furrowed. "Julian, do not interrupt me." She looked down at her intertwined fingers, then looked up, her eyes shimmering with happy light. "My husband is Caleb Stone. We got our marriage license 7 years ago. The venue exploded. Gasps from colleagues rose and fell in waves. Even I was stunned frozen. The original book script was being torn to shreds right here and now. Elena squeezed my palm and continued. Without my husband holding everything up all these years, I never would have made it to today. He is the true founder of Nexus Dynamics. The fact that this company has achieved everything it has today is entirely due to my husband. Thunderous applause rang out again. Julian stumbled backward, his expression sliding from shock to despair, finally fixing on me with poisonous resentment. Throughout the rest of the night, Elena stuck to my side, holding my arm even while toasting guests. I lowered my voice and asked, "What game are you playing? Not going to comfort your little brother, Julian?" "Hubby, what are you talking about?" Elena blinked, looking genuinely confused. "You're my husband. If I don't stay with you, am I supposed to stay with some other man?" Her eyes were clear, without a trace of deception. Julian walked over, eyes red-rimmed. "Elena, this isn't what you said before. You said you'd build the best stage for me. Let me stand at the peak." He turned to me, tears hanging on his eyelashes. "Caleb, I know you're unhappy that Elena values me. I don't know what you said to her, but there was no need to swallow all my credit, right? And the core technology for that recent project. I participated in that too." "You participated in what?" My voice turned cold. "You spend every day at work either gaming or scrolling through TikTok. Even the PowerPoints you present are done by other people, aren't they?" He shrank back, tears falling harder. "Caleb, be the bigger man. Why are you holding a grudge against a boy who just graduated? If you're really that angry, I'll just leave. I don't want to cause a misunderstanding between you and Elena because of me." I looked at him and nearly threw up. "Buddy, are you confused? If I remember correctly, you're 24 this year, right? I'm only 31. Hearing this, Julian cried out and lunged toward Elena, trying to bury himself in her arms. Elena didn't even think. She sidestepped immediately. "Julian, running a company isn't about whoever is weaker is right, or whoever cares about details is petty. I've thought it over seriously. Your current abilities make you unsuitable to be my assistant. Go to an entry-level position and get some experience." Julian froze in place, then covered his face and ran out the door. "Damn eunuch," I muttered. I'd never seen a 6-foot-tall man weeping like a tragic heroine. I turned to glance at Elena. Her expression hadn't changed. She tightened her grip on my arm and said softly, "Hubby, let's ignore him. Tonight, you are the brightest star." TSK, this was getting interesting. Regardless of what changed her mind, I decided to test her later. After the celebration ended, I intended to leave alone, but Elena half-dragged, half-guided me into the car. She didn't say much on the way, and I couldn't be bothered to engage. When the car pulled into the villa's garage, I pushed the door open first and headed straight for the elevator without waiting for her. Elena hurried to catch up, prying open the closing elevator doors. With a hint of aggrieved nasality in her voice, she softened her tone. "Honey, wait for me." I didn't want to beat around the bush. I asked directly. "No one is around now. Tell me, why did you change your mind at the last minute today? Don't think I don't know what you originally intended to say." The elevator doors slid shut, leaving only the sound of our breathing in the cramped space. Elena was silent for 2 seconds, then looked up, her eyes showing just the right amount of surprise. "Change my mind about what? Was there a single word I said that wasn't a fact?" She leaned closer to me, gently tugging at my cuff, her tone dripping with wheedling sweetness. "Honey, don't be mad." Seeing I was unmoved, the grievance on her face deepened. "Nexus was built by you bit by bit. Which technical breakthrough wasn't solved by you pulling all-nighters?" I paused on stage just to organize my words. "I wanted to make your contributions clear, to let everyone know that you are the true unsung hero of Nexus." "Is that so?" I raised an eyebrow, making no attempt to hide my sarcasm. "Then what does Julian read to you?" At the mention of Julian, Elena's expression darkened slightly, her grievance instantly turning into impatience. "He's just a fresh graduate. I only looked out for him a bit because he had no seniority. Who knew he'd develop such unrealistic fantasies? He's not even qualified to be compared to you. The person who has truly treated me well and walked with me to this day has always been only you." She tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear, looking me straight in the eye. "Caleb, we've been married 7 years. You really have too little faith in my love for you." She spoke as if it were a matter of fact, her words flawless. I almost wavered. If I didn't remember with crystal clarity the way she had gripped those speech notes on stage, body trembling, and that shocking smear of blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. I turned my face away, deliberately avoiding her gaze. "Right, 7 years, and apparently that's worth less than a puppy dog wagging its tail for 3 months. I don't know what value I still have to you, but I just want to say, Elena, your credit score with me is already bankrupt. The elevator dinged at the second floor. The door slid open, and I stepped out first. Behind me came Elena's suppressed sobs and a whispered sentence that floated after me. I just wanted everyone to know how amazing my husband is. I didn't stop, walking straight to the bedroom. Whether her words were true or false, until I figured out exactly what the hell was going on, I wouldn't trust a single thing she said. Turning off the shower, I walked out drying my hair. My eyes swept over the large double bed in the master bedroom. Elena was sitting on the edge, wearing a silk nightgown. I didn't hesitate to chase her out. Why are you still here? We're husband and wife. If I don't sleep with you, where am I supposed to go? If you don't leave, I will. Good enough. Seeing me move to leave, she stood up instantly and grabbed my wrist. Where are you going? Her voice held a note of imperceptible panic. Guest room, I replied flatly, trying to pull my hand back, but she gripped it tighter. No. Elena bit her lower lip, her cheeks flushing slightly. She leaned forward, her warm breath brushing my neck, carrying a faint scent of perfume. Caleb, we haven't been intimate in a long time. Her other hand circled my waist, her voice soft as water. Now that nexus is stable. Isn't it time we made a baby? My eyes turned instantly cold, snapping me back to reality. A child? I looked down at her face, inches from mine, filled with expectation and tenderness. The more she acted like this, the heavier my suspicion grew. In the original book, shortly after Julian appeared, Elena started sleeping in a separate room. Her sudden initiative tonight, had she actually cheated and wanted me to take the fall for the pregnancy? Once that thought surfaced, it grew like weeds, strangling my heart. I pushed her away. Not hard, but with complete detachment. That wasn't your attitude when I mentioned kids before. Didn't you say the company was in a growth phase, and it wasn't the right time? My gaze dropped to her stomach, my tone dripping with disdain. Or have you already hopped into your little brother's bed and want me to be the lucky father? Caleb Stone. Elena looked as if she'd been stabbed. She stood up abruptly, looking at me in disbelief, her eyes instantly reddening. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Her voice trembled with tears, full of grievance and anger. Is that the kind of person I am to you? 7 years of feelings, and in your eyes, it's worth nothing. Her tears fell on her nightgown, blooming into dark spots. Act. Just keep acting. I thought. No wonder she was so abnormal at the gala. If she just needed to stabilize me to buy time until she could fully seize my core tech, then everything made sense. Just then, the phone on the nightstand suddenly rang, the shrill tone breaking the standoff in the bedroom. Elena instinctively looked back. When she saw the caller ID, her expression shifted slightly. I followed her gaze. The screen clearly displayed the name, Julian, little bro. I raised an eyebrow, a mocking curve touching my lips. Why not answer? Afraid I'll hear something I shouldn't. Elena didn't hesitate. She reached out and declined the call. But within 2 seconds, the phone rang again relentlessly. Still Julian. Watching her tense profile, I suddenly found it amusing. I took a step forward, and before she could react, I snatched the phone. Under her stunned gaze, I pressed answer and put it on speaker. Julian's tearful voice immediately blared from the speaker. Elena, I'm sorry. I was just feeling a little lost earlier. Please don't be mad at me, okay? His tone grew more pitiful, laced with a deliberate frailty. I've already reflected on my actions, but who knew? On my way home, I got hit by a car. I'm by the roadside now. My leg hurts so bad. Elena, can you come take me to the hospital? At these words, Elena's eyes glazed over for a split second, and her hand moved as if by reflex to grab her coat. I watched her coldly, my smile deepening. Sure enough, the gala was an act. She still favored Julian in her heart. But just as Elena's hand was about to touch her coat, she froze. I saw clearly that her brows knitted tight, her face went pale, and that same look of struggle and torture I'd seen at the gala returned to her eyes. She gritted her teeth, as if fighting something invisible. Then I saw her raise her right hand and pinch the soft flesh on the inside of her left arm hard. Repeatedly, she pinched with such force that bruises instantly bloomed on her pale skin. Fine beads of cold sweat broke out on Elena's forehead from the pain, but her eyes suddenly cleared. She snatched the phone back from me and screamed into the receiver. Julian Reed, are you sick in the head? If you got hit by a car, don't you know to call 911? I'm not a doctor. What use am I? Shit. Next time, use your brain before calling your boss. Don't disturb me in the middle of the night for trivial nonsense. Her expression showed undisguised impatience. Without waiting for a response, she hung up, turned the phone off completely, and tossed it onto the nightstand. Having done all this, she didn't look at me again. She simply walked silently back to the bed, lifted the covers, and curled up into a small ball with her back to me. Silence returned to the bedroom, save for her suppressed, quiet sobbing. Looking at her back, the confusion in my heart deepened. This Elena was absolutely not the brainless Elena from the book. If it were the original character, she would have rushed to Julian regardless of the consequences. This series of actions didn't look like acting. It looked like she was desperately restraining something. It was as if she had a dual personality. One wanted to go, the other was fighting to stop herself, to the point where she, who is usually terrified of pain, would physically hurt herself to stay in control. I frowned, watching her trembling shoulders, and for the first time, I felt skepticism toward the plot. The next day, Julian called in sick. For the entire week after that, he was quiet and didn't pull any stunts. My relationship with Elena thawed significantly. She even had me move my desk into her office so we could share the space. Although the plot was now unrecognizable and I couldn't predict Julian's next move, I knew that kid was definitely brewing a big one. Sure enough, one afternoon a week later, Julian suddenly appeared at our office door. He was pale and gaunt, looking genuinely sickly. The moment he saw Elena, his eyes turned red. He stumbled in, choking back sobs. "Elena, after the accident. I gotta check up. The results." Trembling, he pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket and handed it over. Elena took the paper. One glance, and shock washed over her face. "Stomach cancer?" Julian nodded weakly, his voice weeping. "The doctor says I have 6 months tops. I just want, before I die, to experience what a home feels like." My hand holding my teacup paused. I nearly sprayed my tea. I could predict with my toes what this kid was going to say next. And he did. He looked up, eyes filled with pathetic hope. "Elena, can you hold a fake wedding with me? Let me stand beside you in a suit just once. Fulfill a dying man's wish, please." Visibly, Elena's eyes filled with heartache and panic. Her hand under the table clenched into a fist. But only 2 seconds later, her brow furrowed violently. Her eyes plunged back into that strange, struggling state I had seen several times now. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed, watching her quietly, waiting for her choice. Julian, receiving no immediate answer, let his disappointment overflow. He lowered his eyes, voice raspy. "Forget it. It was an unreasonable request. I'll just leave and find a quiet place to die." He turned, taking steps that were agonizingly slow, peeking backward to gauge Elena's reaction. His little scheme was blatantly obvious. I counted down in my head. 3, 2, 1. Clatter. Elena shoved her chair back and stood up. The corners of Julian's mouth couldn't help but twitch upward. And the last remnants of affection I held in my heart went completely cold. But in the next instant, Elena suddenly made a fist with her right hand and slammed it hard against her own forehead. Her sharp thumbnail sliced her skin, and a line of crimson blood slowly trickled down her brow bone. I frowned slightly. Here we go again. When she looked up, the panic and heartache in Elena's eyes had vanished without a trace, replaced by icy frost. "Julian Reed, do you think I'm stupid?" Julian's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly tried to defend himself carefully. "Elena, I don't understand. Did Caleb say something to make you misunderstand me?" I reached out and took the diagnosis paper. One glance, and I scoffed, tossing the paper back in his face. "Idiot. You could have at least photoshopped a hospital seal or a doctor's signature on it. You think you can pass this fake trash off?" "I didn't. I'm really sick." Julian scrambled backward, his voice shaking. "Really?" I raised an eyebrow and leisurely pulled out my phone, acting like I was dialing. "This hospital on your diagnosis. I happen to have an old classmate working there. Let me ask him if the doctor listed here knows a patient like you." "Enough!" Julian suddenly roared, wiping his tears. "Caleb, I know you're controlling and jealous. It's just a fake wedding. Do you have to be so petty with a dying man? You're the one who's enough." Elena suddenly screamed, her voice shaking the office windows. She pointed at Julian's nose. "You target my husband over and over, trying to drive a wedge between us right in front of my face. Do you really think I can't see your little games?" Julian flinched at her appearance, too scared to speak. I turned my head, looking at the anger churning in Elena's eyes, and felt a strange sensation. This Elena was indeed a different person from the love-struck fool in the book. Elena unleashed a barrage. "I must have had a brain aneurysm to hire you. You can't do a lick of work. All day long it's Elena this, Elena that, buzzing around me with sweet talk. Have you generated a single cent of profit for this company? You bother me every 3 days with trivial nonsense, complaining Tom bullied you or Harry looked down on you. A grown man crying and being petty with zero tolerance for others. You're disgusting." Julian opened his mouth to argue. Shut up. Elena didn't give him a chance, interrupting him violently. Even if, theoretically, you were really sick, you can pay someone to help you fulfill your dream. Asking a married woman? Are you insane? And saying that trash in front of my husband. Did a donkey kick you in the head? Elena, how did you become like this? Julian's eyes reddened as he choked out. What about what you said before? You said Caleb only cares about work, that he's boring. You said I was the one who truly understood you. Stop it. Elena gritted her teeth, panic flashing as she tried to stop him. She shouted each word. Consider the past my bad luck and stupidity. Starting now, you're fired. Get out. You can't treat me like this. Elena. Julian refused to give up, reaching out to touch Elena's arm. I moved fast, grabbing his wrist and driving a hard punch into his face. When I pulled my fist back, it felt greasy. I'd wiped off a layer of foundation. You really were faking it. I scoffed, feeling nothing but irony. Julian, with his weak frame, flew back 6 feet and hit the floor. Even now, he doesn't forget to act fragile for sympathy. Elena didn't spare him a glance. She grabbed a stack of files from the desk and hurled them at him, shouting, "Security! Drag this man out. From now on, he is not allowed to step foot in this company." Security arrived quickly, rushing in to grab the struggling Julian and drag him out. As Julian's crying faded into the distance, the office finally returned to silence. I looked at Elena's heaving chest and spoke expressionlessly. Those things he said just now, were they true? I am boring. He's the one who understands you. Anything you want to explain? Elena didn't speak. She just took a tissue from the desk, gently wiped the blood still seeping from her forehead, then walked to the door, locked it, and slowly sat back in her chair. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. Honey, are you willing to trust me one more time? I sat back down and poured myself a coffee. You talk. I'll listen. I'll judge for myself. According to the original host's memories, before Julian appeared, even though Elena hadn't made their marriage public, they had always been loving. Why did she fall so quickly for a useless pretty boy the moment he showed up? I did say those things. But Caleb, the only person I've ever loved is you. I don't know what happened to me. After Julian appeared, it was like I was possessed. I knew he was useless. I knew he was trying to divide us. But there was a voice in my head forcing me to favor him, to protect him. Elena sniffled, her tone filled with regret. 2 weeks ago, he said he was being bullied at work and hinted it was you. I just inexplicably believed him. I told him I'd give him the highest honor, so no one would dare look down on him. I even said I'd act as his fiancée, so no one would bully him. Right after I said it, I suddenly snapped awake for a second. I looked at his fake face and asked myself, what am I doing? You're the man who climbed up from nothing with me, the husband I swore to be with forever. How could I hurt you for this effeminate loser? I got scared. Elena's voice trembled. I secretly went to a psychiatrist. The doctor said I wasn't crazy, but I knew I definitely wasn't normal. I don't know what's haunting me. I just know if I let it control me, I'll destroy our 7 years together. I didn't want to be controlled. I didn't want to betray you. From that day on, I chanted 1,000 times a day. I am Caleb's wife. No one could force me to do him wrong. But it was useless. Whenever Julian appeared, it was like I lost my brain and let him lead me by the nose. Until the gala, the second before I announced the company's greatest contributor, the chaos in my brain faded slightly. That was the first time since meeting Julian that I clearly heard my own inner voice. I want to vindicate you. I want to tell everyone you are the bedrock of Nexus, and you are Elena Vance's husband. At that moment, I felt a weak strength rise from the bottom of my heart, fighting that was controlling me. I bit my tongue desperately and realized that as long as it hurt enough, I could maintain clarity. She touched her arm, where the bruises from days ago still lingered. To be honest, just now, when Julian said he had stomach cancer, I subconsciously believed him again. Biting my tongue didn't work anymore, so I had to use a more painful method to force myself awake. When Elena finished, the room was terrifyingly quiet. I had a theory. Me, a person who had broken through the dimensional barrier, had brought a tiny shred of normal world logic into this world twisted by dog blood melodrama. And Elena's obsession with not losing me happened to be amplified infinitely by this logic, becoming her only power against the plot. As for why I wasn't affected from start to finish, probably because I wasn't from this world. That day after work, we went home together. Before Elena could catch her breath, the phone in her pocket screamed again. Elena, I am sorry. I shouldn't have loved you. I'm going to die now. Julian's voice was wrapped in sobs. On the video call, the wind on the rooftop was whipping his hair around. He was actually sitting on the edge of the company building's roof, legs dangling over a drop of hundreds of feet. Elena's pupils contracted violently. Her eyes exploded with unprecedented fear and panic. Her body sprang up instinctively, ready to rush out the door. Don't go. He's manipulating you. I moved fast, grabbing her wrist. Her voice shattered completely. Caleb, I can't control my legs. Quick, grab something and break my legs, please. I'd rather never walk again than go to him. Idiot. How could I do that? I roared, wrapping my arms around her to lock her into my embrace. But I underestimated the terror of the plot force. An invisible pressure suddenly descended. It felt like I was shouldering a boulder weighing hundreds of pounds. I couldn't hold her. Elena wrenched free from my arms, pulled toward the door as if by invisible wires. I tried with everything I had to chase her, but my limbs felt like they were filled with lead. Just then, I saw Elena's footsteps halt abruptly. A flash of clarity passed through her eyes. It was her final stand against the will of the world. Caleb, I won't let him control me. Watch me break his game. She didn't run for the elevator. She didn't run for the stairs. She turned and threw herself toward the balcony, leaping off the second floor. With a sickening thud and a scream of pain, Elena slammed onto the stone pavers of the patio below. Almost instantly, the massive force crushing me vanished. I broke free and sprinted downstairs like a madman. She was curled up on the ground, blood trickling from her lips, yet she forced a pained smile. Honey, my leg's broken. Let's see how he forces me to go to him now. Are you crazy? My heart felt like it was being crushed by a giant hand. I couldn't breathe. Shaking, I scooped her up and ran to the car. I floored the gas pedal, racing toward the hospital. We hadn't driven far when the scenery around us began to warp. The road stretched out infinitely like pulled noodles. No matter how fast I drove, there was no end. My heart sank. I looked up. Julian Reed was suddenly standing in the middle of the road, blocking our path. The pitiful look was gone, replaced by a sinister gloom. Truly entertaining. Elena would rather mutilate herself than come see me. Fuck. I ground my molars together and stomped on the gas, aiming to run him down. At the critical moment, the engine let out a harsh screech and died completely. Damn it. The protagonist Halo is real. I cursed. Ha ha ha. Julian threw his head back and laughed, his eyes bone-chillingly cold. Caleb Stone, you deserve to die 1,000 times over. How dare you ruin my perfect story? I pushed the car door open and walked toward him, my gaze icy. Drop the act. I know who you are. Julian raised an eyebrow mockingly. Oh, do tell. If I'm not mistaken, you are the projection of that author, Cutesy Pie, in this world. I scoffed. I never understood the appeal of your torture porn stories. But if you insert yourself as Julian, it all makes sense. In the book, Elena commits suicide, I flee the country, and only you, the home-wrecking scum, get the money and the girl, escaping unscathed. In reality, you rely on these absurd, twisted plots to harvest traffic, spreading your bullshit values to pollute the normal human world, making a fortune off it. You're sharp. Julian laughed to the sky, his body emitting a bizarre black aura. Too bad I'm no longer just Cutesy Pie. After absorbing the negative emotions of countless tragic worlds, I have evolved into the ultimate god of angst, the Luminary. This world is just my latest playground. Bullshit. God of crap writing is more like it. I retorted without hesitation. Caleb, I won't lose. A weak but firm voice came from the car. I looked back to see Elena dragging her broken leg, crawling out of the vehicle. Her face was pale as paper, but her eyes held a light brighter than I'd ever seen. Oh, Elena's awake? Julian licked his lips. So what if your leg is broken? You can't escape. From the moment you were written into the script, you were destined to be nothing but my mistress. What are you doing? Get back inside. I yelled frantically. Elena, listen to me. This is a book world. The Julian in front of you is the author. You can't fight the power of the plot. No. Elena shook her head, her gaze locking onto Julian. So what if this is a book? So what if you're the author? Julian, you made a fatal mistake. You shouldn't treat living people like livestock, like props to be played with. You have no right to manipulate the fates of others. Bullshit. Julian's face twisted, looking demonic. I have every right. This is my world. Logic doesn't matter. I matter. Everything obeys me. I lunged forward, fist clenched, swinging at him with everything I had. Let's see you arrange this. Boom. A transparent barrier materialized in front of Julian, stopping my fist cold. The recoil numbed my arm. I gritted my teeth, pushing against the barrier with all my might. If anyone in this world could resist him, it had to be me, the outlier. Do you know that every character you write has their own soul? My voice rang through the clouds. You pervert the natural order, torturing protagonists for fun, feeding shit to your readers with pride. You abandoned the purpose of storytelling long ago. You obsess over defiling family, friendship, and love, polluting world after world. Your crimes are endless. You deserve death. So what? Julian grimaced. Let the readers curse. Inkspire supports me. I make money. That's enough. In my world, I am the absolute god. You can't beat me. Screw it, I'm going all in. I clench my jaw, my blood boiling. I prepared to condense that sliver of law from the normal world into my right fist for a desperate strike. At that critical moment, a giant golden palm tore open the sky and crashed down, accompanied by a majestic voice resonating through heaven and earth. Well said. I'll lend you a hand. Golden light blinded us as the palm struck the barrier in front of Julian. Connect, boom! The indestructible barrier shattered instantly, dissolving into motes of light. Through the crack in the sky where the barrier broke, we didn't see stars. We saw a curtain of light formed by millions of comets, dropped. Heroine is too stupid. Can the author stop feeding us trash? Torturing the male lead again. Isn't this getting old? Are there any stories about normal humans falling in love? 3 stars for writing style, negative stars for plot. Impossible. Who are you? Julian screamed in terror, staring at the light curtain, his body trembling. My name is Kane. A towering figure stepped out of the void. You may call me Grandmaster Kane. My specialty is suppressing animals like you who twist the narrative laws and poison sentient beings, saving these polluted worlds. Now's my chance. With Julian distracted, my spirit surged. I drove my fist hard into Julian's chest. The moment the laws of reality exploded, Julian coughed up blood. He let out a wretched scream. I'm not resigned. The script was set. Why are there variables? You ants. How dare you ruin my masterpiece? Take your bullshit masterpiece and rot in the gutter. Stop hurting people. I roared, throwing my weight onto him. In the next moment, Kane and I activated the laws simultaneously. The two forces intertwined into a golden torrent, grinding Julian's body and soul into nothingness. Not a scrap remained. The sky suddenly cleared. The twisted road straightened. Sunlight pierced the clouds, sprinkling over the world. Kane walked slowly toward us, waving a hand gently at Elena. A soft golden light enveloped her, and her injuries vanished instantly. I helped Elena stand up, stumbling slightly, and thanked Kane. Thank you for your help, Senior. Kane waved his hand, his tone casual. It was hardly any trouble. Originally, I detected severe pollution in this world and planned to destroy it entirely. But seeing Ms. Vance maintain a shred of her true self, even under such high concentration angst, pollution moved me to compassion. I decided to observe a bit longer, and Ms. Vance did not disappoint. Elena's eyes glistened with tears. She choked out, "It might be effortless for you, Senior, but for me, you saved my home." Kane smiled, his gaze warm. "No, the one who saved your family was you. It was your refusal to give up on love. That is the strongest power." With that, he rose in the air, his voice drifting down from afar. I have to rush to the next dog-blood short story written by an author named the Edgelord. Farewell. The skies split open again, gold flashed, and Kane disappeared into the light. Epilogue: the wind blew gently. Elena threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. Honey, I finally get to be my real self. I didn't cheat. I'm still clean. Please don't throw me away. You must know by now this is a book world, and you're a character in it, right? Maybe I was before. But from the moment Julian, that guy named the Luminary, was obliterated, this became an independent world. Besides, she pointed to the alley nearby. An old man selling candied apples was shouting his wares. Kids out of school were chasing a butterfly. Are those written in the book? My eyes held a smile. Senior Kane said it was your persistence that made this world worthy of saving. From now on, I patted her back gently. It's just you and me, waking up together, going to work together, coming home together, eating the noodles you cook, watching the shows you like. Those trashy melodramas will never happen again. Elena burst into laughter through her tears. I love you. Not because the script says I have to, but because I saw you stay by my side through it all. I cupped her face. I love you, not because the script says I have to, but because I saw you fight an entire world for me. Elena's tears fell again, but she was smiling. She stood on tiptoes and gently kissed the corner of my mouth. The candied apple seller shouted again. This time, Elena pulled my hand and walked toward him. Honey, I want strawberry flavor. Okay, double sugar. Won't that be too sweet? I want it. Side story later, Elena gave birth to twins. To prevent any plot twists, we did DNA tests at 3 different institutions. Elena and I didn't have any childhood sweethearts. We didn't hire strange interns or assistants of the opposite sex. Nor did we fund any poor students with tragic backstories, nor meet any junior schoolmates. We didn't even hire live-in housekeepers or nannies, just to prevent any baby-swapping schemes. Elena stayed with me until she was 89. Shortly after she passed away, I followed her. When I woke up again, I found I had traveled back to the real world. Only an hour had passed. 1 year in that world seemed to equal 1 minute in reality. Possessing decades of advanced experience from that world, I quickly founded my own company. I developed safe, controllable artificial sun technology, nuclear fusion, achieving stable net energy output, helping my country rise to the peak of the world stage. My younger sister, Chloe Stone, became a renowned medical professor at a young age. I built a massive medical pharmaceutical complex for her, powered by the artificial sun I developed. Theoretically, even if all the equipment ran continuously for 10,000 years, the energy wouldn't run out. At the age of 33, Chloe successfully developed a cure for cancer, shocking the world. One day, when both my sister and I finally had some free time, we traveled together to Yellowstone National Park to relax. But unexpectedly, we encountered a once-in-a-century flash flood. My sister and I fell into the river and were struck by driftwood. I thought it was the end, but perhaps due to my previous book-hopping experience, I was stained with fragments of temporal laws. The result was, I traveled again. This time, I went to 200 years ago,